why you might want to take this class. Speed. This is going to be the first and most obvious benefit of learning to touch type. A touch typist can easily reach speeds above 70 to 80 words per minute. This is increased by the fact that an accomplished touch typist doesn't have to look at the keyboard. Not only will you become more efficient, but you will also be able to direct your focus when required. Accuracy is one of the most important things to learn no matter how hard you type. This will increase your confidence in your work as you will know what you are keyboarding is accurate. Time. If you increase your typing speed, for example, say from 30 words per minute to 60, you have effectively halved the time it would take you to do the same amount of work. An average two-finger typist might type 170 sections or words in 17 minutes. A touch typist, on the other hand, typing an average of 60 words per minute, can type the same section in around 4 minutes. It has been proven that a trained touch typist can save around 20 to 35% of their time used on a computer using proper keyboarding skills. Decrease fatigue. Working on a computer can be both psychologically and physically exhausting when done for long periods of time. Learning to touch type properly reduces mental and physical fatigue. Mentally, it keeps you from having to focus on two things at once. All you have to worry about is your output, not finding the individual keys. Physically, it keeps you from constantly having to bend your head over the keyboard to find the next couple of keystrokes and can prevent carpal tunnel issues over time. Health. Overall, touch typing is better for your health. You can focus on good posture, and using all of your fingers actually reduces the reduce of repetitive stress injuries. Productivity. By learning to touch type, you shall become more productive and increase your confidence. Time is nearly halved, and errors will become nearly non-existent. Touch typing is a skill to be proud of and will benefit you throughout your education and into your chosen career. Given these reasons and more, I encourage you to take keyboarding, which is a semester course here at Muskego High School. You will earn half credit for this course and develop a skill to last a lifetime. High school is a time to develop and/or improve your keyboarding speed and accuracy. This course begins with learning the keys, but moves through learning how to format documents properly. Our focus continues with business professionalism, including email etiquette, resumes, cover letters, and more. Almost all of your work is done in class with little to no homework. Today, everyone uses a computer, and whether you are typing for school or for work, it is likely your boss or teacher will expect you to send emails, write reports, complete online tasks, and to be self-supporting with technology. Learn to be productive and efficient in your work with good keyboarding skills. You'll be taken more seriously, and your computer skills will be visible to others. Most important, you will save so much time. It also looks great on your resume and can help open up new opportunities for you.
Globalization. And that's the objectives of, and that's the psychomotor objectives of our contemporary world. Again, there are three objectives: cognitive objectives, affectives, and psychomotor objectives. Cognitive objectives is all about the knowledge. Affective objectives, it's all about the values. And psychomotor, it's all about the skills. Okay, next. So these are the topics for our subject contemporary world. So in chapter 1, we have this topic, defining globalization. Chapter 2, the global economy. Chapter 3, market integration. And chapter 4, the global interstate system. So in short, ang ato ang subject na contemporary world, nag-focus lang siya sa economy or sa ato ang or sa globalization. Okay? Next. So let's discuss what is contemporary world. Okay? Before ta mag-proceed sa ato ang discussion sa mga chapters. Okay? So what is contemporary world? So contemporary world, it deals with problems and issues related to the environment, pollution, wealth, power, and tensions and conflicts. Thus, learners become aware of the consequences of human actions on societies, develop critical judgment, and define their understanding of the world as responsible citizens. And learners learn to participate in social debates and contribute to society. Next, the aim of the contemporary world is to help learners become interested in contemporary world problems and issues that all societies faced, develop competencies, and construct knowledge. So by studying these problems and issues, adult learns adult learns to understand the nature of the relationship that form between societies and the way in which these relationships shape the organization of the world today. And they become aware of the different viewpoints regarding some of the world's great concerns, and they compare their own point of view with that of others. Thus, thus increasing their critical judgments, and they become aware of the role they must play in society, and of course, their responsibilities as citizens in this country, which is the Philippines. Next. Contemporary world addresses this challenge by offering a readable and practical guide that integrates content with examples, capturing the essence and elegance of theory in straightforward manner. So in addition of this, this subject takes an incremental approach in learning about globalization. Matawag nga sa inyo gay na nga, nag-focus lang po ni siya sa globalization. As in chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and 4, ang globalization is present. Okay? And resulting in a thoughtful and appropriate learning pace. Okay? So the contemporary world is an ever-changing mix of social and political changes. While religious, political, and ethnic conflicts continue, we are currently living in one of the most peaceful eras in the history of the planet. And that's according to https www.freemanpedia.com. Okay?
Hello to everyone. We will now go to our topic. But before that, I would like you to give some information, background in Steno. Why do we have this Steno 3? Ba't napakahaba ng Steno natin? Kasi in Steno 1 and 2, you learn the alphabet of shorthand, as well as brief forms, word beginnings, word endings, and phrases. It was devoted to the basics of shorthand and transcription, and those basics are extremely important for further shorthand and transcription development. So in Steno 3, you will continue to stress the basics, but it will also include some guidelines for document preparation. Kaya nga mayroong mga similar words and discussion of punctuations. So through this, it will help you develop your transcription skills and transcription speed. And then, as you progress, you will discover that shorthand is really made easy. So madali lang pala siya.
In Lesson 1, we will start with theory review of the following. Word endings ing, ings, li, ingli, and ili. Sounds of ted, ded, and dit. Brief forms and phrases.
Let us now review the lessons you learned in Steno 1 and 2. So let's start with the word endings. In Lesson 1, it presented here all the word endings. Like the word ending ing. Ing is represented as a dot. So yan yun, di ba? Yan yung natutunan nyo sa Steno 1. For example, the word is doing. D-U-ing. Doing. Next is hearing. H-E-R-ing. Hearing. Hiring. H-I-R-ing, hiring. Interesting. Okay, do you still remember that the word beginning interest, enter, are represented as disjoint N. Kaya yung interest, a short line, then ST, ing, interesting. Knowing, N-O-ing, knowing. Okay, then thinking. So we have a brief form think and think that represents over TH and a dot. So since the word is thinking, you add additional dot for the ing. Now, next is the word ending ings. The word ending ings is represented as disjoint. Pag sinabing disjoint, hiwalay siya doon sa salita. So, disjoint left S. So, disjoint left S. That is the stroke. Example, dealings. D-E-L, ings, dealings. Earnings. E-R-N, ings, earnings. Feelings. F-E-L, ings, feelings. Then meetings. M-E-T-ings, meetings. Next is the word ending ly. That represents as a small circle. Briefly. B-R-E-F-ly. Briefly. Daily. D-A, then yung ly nasa likod. Daily. Early. E-R-ly. Early. Extremely. E-S-T-R-E-M-ly. Extremely. Fairly. F-A-R-ly. Fairly. Next, how about the word ending ingly? The word ending ingly is represented as small circle then, but this time it is disjoint. Nakahiwalay siya. Halimbawa, accordingly. How do you write accordingly? A-K-O-R-D. Ingly, accordingly. Knowingly. N-O, ingly, knowingly. Willingly. We have a brief form will and well that represents L. Then, ingly, willingly. Exceedingly. E-X-E-D, ingly, exceedingly. Next is the word ending ily. The word ending ily is represented as a circle, but this time, the stroke, the symbol is flattened. It is like an egg. So, small circle, pwedeng nakatayo, pwedeng nakahiga. But it is joined, ha? Hindi siya nakahiwalay doon sa word. Easily. E-S-ily, easily. Family. F-A-M-ily, family. Then necessarily. N-A-S-S-R-ily, necessarily. Steadily. Steadily, steadily. Next is the TED, the dead, and DIT. It is a combination of letter T and D. If we combine this will become the stroke. T, tapos naka-jog, tapos D. Pero ang ginawa dyan ni Greg, tinanggal yung jog na yan, kaya isang mahabang combination ng T at ng D. Example of TED. Accepted. A-K-S-E-P, TED. Accepted. Next, acted. A-K-TED, acted. Instead. Instead, instead. Today. Today. How about the dead? Dead as in added. Added. Gray. G-R-A, dead. Graded. Next is guided. G-I-D-E-D, guided, needed. N-E-D-E-D, needed. How about the dit? The sound of dit, as in audit. Audit. Kasi yung audit natin, it has a sound of O. Audit, then credit. K-R-E-D-I-T, credit. Detailed. D-A-A-L, detail. Edit. Edit. Okay? Now, how about the brief forms? Review tayo ng mga brief forms natin. Such as an, that represents a dot. Acknowledge, A-K, that is the abbreviation. And then about, A-B. Then acknowledgement. Oh. Yung acknowledge ay gawin natin, dagdagan natin ng meant. The meant is represented as M. Acknowledgement. Advantage. Advantage is represented as a V. Disadvantage. Gawin natin disadvantage. How do you write? You add D, S, then dugtong mo yung advantage. How about advertise? Advertise. That is the abbreviation. Advertisement. Yan. Next is after. That represents AFT for after. Example, another. Let's make it derivatives. After noon. Next is the word M. M, that represents M. And, combination of ND. Then, anniversary. Aniv. Yan na lang ang abbreviation niya. Any. N-E. Any. Appropriate. Appropriate. Then, appropriately. Appropriately. So, yung li, ginamit natin. Then, the R, our R, di ba? R na lang siya. And then, it at, that represents P. Now, meron tayong mga been able.
These are the outlines for the phrases. For example, has been able. I have not been able. I will be able. I am glad. In our, it will be. We have been able.
The cool thing about event management is that the structure you use and the process you follow more or less stays the same. Let's get started. Hi friends, I'm a product marketing manager at a large technology company, and in the past 5 years, I've planned and executed hundreds of offline and online events. These events include both small-scale C-level roundtables that take place in a single afternoon and 1,000-people webinar series that go on for several months. Now, event management is an extremely broad topic that cannot be covered in a single YouTube video, so I created a free event management 101 course over at Skillshare and included some of the key highlights in this video as well. Basically, I walk you through step by step the entire event planning process on Google Sheets, share how I structure the spreadsheet for cross-team collaboration, and talk about the purpose of each tab. To be completely transparent, if you just want to be a bit less amateur when it comes to planning the next happy hour or team offsite, the concepts I'll go through in this video is more than enough. If you're a professional who comes into regular contact with events at work or even an aspiring marketer, then I highly recommend you go through that course because that's what I wish I could have had when I joined the marketing team. Without further ado, let's dive in. Right off the bat, you'll notice I've split this Google Sheet into 6 different sections. Overview, key information, pre-event, during event, post-event, and raw data using these empty tabs as section headers, and these are all color coded as well, right? And you do this for two reasons. Number one, you're going to receive a lot of questions about the event from different stakeholders, and you need to find that information as quickly as possible. And number two, because there's so many teams involved in event planning, you want the spreadsheet to be as self-explanatory as possible. The idea of the overview tab is very simple. Imagine someone with zero background of the event comes across this spreadsheet. After they look through the information on this tab, they should have a general understanding of what the event is about without having to ask you directly. Key information tabs include RSVP snapshot, agenda, promotion channels, and comms timeline. And the way to think about these four tabs is also very simple. Just imagine if someone very senior, like your manager or another team's director, message you about the event. What would they be asking about? 99% of the time, the answer can be found in one of these four tabs. They might ask about how many people have signed up so far, RSVP snapshot, how the content is coming along, agenda tab, which promotion channel is driving the most signups, promo channels, and when we're sending the next confirmation or reminder email out, comms timeline. For us, the project managers, every single one of these tabs within the spreadsheet is important, right? But trust me when I tell you, very few senior managers will care about all the specific details and will only want like the high level information that you have so thoughtfully already consolidated in the key information section here. Pre-event tabs. This is where the pre, during, and post method comes in. Broadly speaking, this part just helps you organize all the things you need to plan before the event actually takes place. Hence, pre-event. During event tabs list out the things you need to take care of during the event. And you guessed it, post here means post office. No, post-event tabs help you organize the things you need to do after the event is complete. Quick note, these yellow, purple, and green tabs are by no means an exhaustive list of tabs you need for each section, but this provides a very good start. And as long as you think about it in this way, like before, during, and after the event, we decrease the chances of missing something important. Raw data tabs, this is exactly like it sounds. This is where you keep all the raw data you collect throughout the event planning and execution process, like registration data, attendee data, engagement data, post-event survey data. They're all kept here, and I like to mark these in gray. Over the next few lessons, I'm going to deep dive into each one of these tabs and explain that tab's purpose, go over the formatting and formulas within, and make adjustments based on real-life situations. Okay, let's dive.